The human cadet stepped onto the alien ship, his boots clanging against the metal floor, echoing through the vast corridor. Lights flickered overhead, casting strange patterns across the walls, and strange symbols glowed softly in colors he could not name. He could feel the hum of the engines vibrating beneath his feet, a sound that seemed alive, and watching his heart raced with both fear and awe. As he took another step forward, the corridors seemed to stretch endlessly, their ceilings impossibly high, and shadows pooled in the corners, making shapes that might have moved if he stared too long. He could hear the faint hiss of the ship adjusting its pressure and temperature, and the faint creak of machinery. Like the ship was breathing around him, suddenly a figure emerged from the shadows, a towering silhouette armored in polished metal that reflected the flickering lights. The alien captain moved with deliberate grace, every step measured and intimidating. His eyes glowed faintly, a sharp light piercing the cadet with an intensity that made him want to shrink back. The captain stopped a few paces away, arms crossed over his chest, the sneer on his face sharp and confident. His voice broke the quiet like grinding metal. "Welcome, human cadet." The sound of it sent shivers down the cadet's spine. He tried to steady his breathing, trying to ignore the way the crew behind the captain leaned forward to see the new arrival. Some curious, some openly mocking. The cadet's small frame seemed fragile in comparison to the muscular forms of the alien officers lined along the walls. He noticed the way the captain tilted his head, examining him like a predator evaluating a weak prey. The cadet swallowed hard, his throat dry, and his mind raced with thoughts of failure, of what he must do to survive this first encounter. He tried to stand tall, despite the weight of fear pressing on his shoulders, and then he felt it beside him. A warmth and presence that reassured him, and yet made the air heavier. A massive grizzly stepped from the shadows, its fur thick and glistening under the cold lights. Its eyes locked on the captain, unblinking and full of quiet authority. The cadet felt his own heartbeats sync with the bear's steady breathing, and he realized he was not alone. A surge of courage flowed through him, and he took another step forward, determined to face what came next. The alien captain laughed, a sound that scraped across the metal walls, harsh and grating like knives rubbing together. The cadet flinched instinctively, but tried to hold his ground. The laughter echoed down the corridors, and the crew behind the captain snickered and whispered the words, "Weakling, useless human, you will not last a cycle." The cadet felt a hot surge of shame and fear, but he also felt the steady presence of the bear at his side, a silent promise of protection. The captain stepped closer, each movement deliberate and heavy, like he was crushing the air around them. The cadet noticed the sharp lines of his armor, the way the light reflected off every edge, making him seem larger, more terrifying. He could hear the faint hiss of servos as the captain shifted his weight. The alien spoke again, voice low and cutting. "Do you even know how to hold yourself in a fleet? A human will never survive here." The cadet tried to answer, tried to find words that would not betray his panic, but the sound caught in his throat. The bear growled, low and slow, a warning that rolled through the floor, the vibrations reaching the cadet like a heartbeat of power. The captain froze for a fraction of a second, his glowing eyes narrowing. He glanced at the bear and back at the cadet, and for the first time, there was a flicker of hesitation in his expression. The cadet drew in a trembling breath and lifted his chin. The bear moved closer, brushing against his leg as if to say, "You are not alone." The captain circled him slowly, mocking every breath, every twitch of his body. "Your species is fragile, your mind is weak," he whispered. But the bear growled again, louder, this time sharp enough to make several of the crew take a step back. The cadet felt a strange confidence welling inside him, courage borrowed from the silent strength at his side. He would not bafta. He would not flee. He would survive this moment, and the captain would learn that the human was not as weak as he presumed. Beside the cadet, the massive grizzly shifted its weight, muscles rippling beneath thick fur, its eyes never leaving the captain. The bear moved with a silent power that seemed to fill the corridor. The cadet felt a strange warmth and calm radiating from the creature, and he realized he was no longer alone. The alien crew watched in uneasy silence, whispering amongst themselves, some leaning closer, trying to see what bond this human had with the beast, some stepping back instinctively sensing danger. The cadet took a careful step forward, and the bear mirrored him, matching every movement like a shadow of strength. The captain stopped circling, and his eyes narrowed, suspicion and curiosity battling across his face. He raised one armored hand, and the crew flinched as the faint hum of the ship shifted like it sensed the tension. The cadet swallowed hard, trying to steady his racing heart. He felt the weight of every gaze and the oppressive presence of the captain, but he also felt the bear pressing close, its warmth grounding him, giving him courage. He realized for the first time that strength was not only in size or weaponry, it was in loyalty and trust, in bonds that could not be broken. The captain laughed again, but it lacked the sharpness of before. It was cautious, tentative. He stepped closer, but the bear growled low and warning, clear as the floor, seemed to tremble beneath its paws. The crew held their breath. The cadet spoke softly to the bear, words that only the two of them understood, and the bear responded with a subtle nod of its massive head, its eyes glinting intelligence and understanding. The captain paused, confusion flickering in his glowing gaze. He had faced humans before, but never one who commanded a beast with such silent authority. The cadet straightened his shoulders, feeling the surge of confidence spread through him. He was no longer just a frightened newcomer. He was a human with a guardian, a force the captain could not dismiss easily, and the tension in the corridor hung thick like storm clouds, ready to break. The captain snapped his fingers, and a glowing container hovered before the cadet. It hummed with energy and radiated a weight far heavier than anything he had ever lifted. The crew leaned closer, snickering, their eyes sharp with expectation. The cadet felt his knees wobble under the sudden burden, his hands trembling as he tried to grip the container. The captain laughed. A harsh metallic sound, pointing at him and mocking every movement. Struggle, human struggle. Like this will be your end. The cadet swallowed hard and forced himself to lift the container, a surge of strain ripping through his arms and back. The bear shifted beside him, muscles tensing like steel. The cadet felt the bear press against him, almost encouraging him to hold on and breathe and fight. The human staggered forward, one foot slipping on the slick metal floor. The crew burst into cruel laughter and whispers, yet the bear growled, deep and rolling, a sound that seemed to shake the walls and echo through the corridor. The captain froze, a flicker of caution in his glowing eyes. He had not expected the creature to intervene. The cadet gritted his teeth, feeling every second stretch into eternity, sweat stinging his eyes, his arms trembling with effort, but he could not drop the container, not in front of this crew, not with the bear beside him. A massive paw pressed lightly against his shoulder, a silent message, hold steady. You can do this. The cadet straightened his back and gritted, his jaw pushing his fear into determination. The captain stepped closer to mock him further, but the bear reared slightly, showing teeth and claws, its growl rising sharp enough to make several crew members stumble back. The cadet felt a thrill of courage. He adjusted his grip, focused on his balance, and slowly managed to lift the container higher, his muscles screaming, his heart racing, yet he felt unstoppable with the bear guarding him. The captain swallowed harshly, his sneer faltering for the first time, and the cadet knew in that instant that he had earned more than endurance. He had earned respect and fear, and the bear pressed closer like a shield of living strength, ready to defend him from anything. The captain stepped back, circling the cadet, slowly mocking every movement, every breath. You think you can survive here, human? He hissed. The cadet felt his heart pound, but he did not move. The bear stood taller beside him, muscles rippling, eyes fixed on the captain, every hair on its back raised in warning. The crew held their breath, some shifting nervously, the air thick with tension. The captain narrowed, his eyes assessing the bond between human and beast. He took another step closer, testing boundaries. The bear growled low and steady, a sound that rolled through the floor and walls. The cadet felt courage surge through him like fire. He stood taller, shoulders squared, chest rising. The bear pressed closer in silent solidarity, warning the captain that any aggression would be met with force. The captain paused, uncertainty flickering across his face. For the first time, the cadet realized he was no longer just a target. He was a challenge, and the bear was his protector. The captain lunged forward, his armored hand aimed at the cadet as if to shove him back. The human barely had time to react before the bear leaped with astonishing speed, its massive body slamming between them. Claws scraping metal, sparks flying. From the impact, the growl that erupted from the bear was deep and resonant, vibrating through the floor and walls, shaking the crew to their core. The cadet stumbled backward, heart-pounding, adrenaline surging through his veins, but he kept his eyes on the captain, knowing the bear would not let harm come to him. The captain froze mid-motion, eyes wide, a flicker of fear crossing his glowing gaze. He had faced humans before, but never one backed by such raw force and loyalty. The bear reared slightly, teeth bared, the air thick with the metallic scent of tension. The crew gasped, some taking half steps back, uncertainty replacing their earlier amusement. The cadet found his voice trembling, yet steady, the words soft but firm, a command. Only the bear understood. The massive creature tilted its head and slowly lowered its body to a crouch, ready to strike, yet waiting for his signal. The captain studied the cadet, calculating every move. The once mocking sneer, replaced by measured caution. He realized, this was no ordinary human, this was a force intertwined with a creature of immense power. The cadet straightened his shoulders, chest rising with defiance. He met the captain's gaze unwavering. He felt the bear brush against his leg, a silent pulse of strength and reassurance. He drew a slow breath, feeling courage spread through his body like fire, igniting every nerve. The captain hesitated, his mind racing scenarios he had never anticipated. He stepped back, slightly reassessing the situation. The bear growled once more, low in warning, as if to imprint a rule on everyone in the corridor, that this human was under its protection. The cadet felt the surge of confidence solidify into unshakable determination. He knew in that instant that he was no longer just a cadet under scrutiny. He was a partner in command, a living bond of strength and loyalty. The captain inclined his head slightly, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement of the challenge and power. He could not dismiss the cadet, and the bear stood side by side, a living wall of resolve. The crew watched in stunned silence, realizing that their perception of weakness had been shattered, and the corridors of the alien ship thrummed with the tension of a new balance forged by courage, trust, and the unspoken authority of the Grizzly. The cadet knelt slightly beside the bear, whispering words only they could understand. The massive creature lowered, its head pressing against his shoulder, its warm fur brushing his cheek. A connection deeper than fear or command, a silent understanding that spoke of trust, loyalty, and unspoken promises. The captain watched from a few paces away, his glowing eyes narrowing in thought. He had faced humans and their pets before, but never one who commanded such obedience without a word, a bond forged in instinct and respect. The crew shifted, uneasily, unsure how to react. The cadet placed his hands on the bear's massive muzzle and spoke again, soft and steady. The bear nuzzled his palms, its growl fading to a low hum of contentment. The captain stepped closer, curiosity and caution mixing in his expression. He tilted his head, studying the cadet and the bear, a flicker of admiration passing briefly across his features. The cadet rose to his full height, the bear at his side, his presence calm yet commanding. He realized the power of partnership. The captain inclined his head slowly, acknowledgement passing between them, a silent truce that respected the strength and courage of the human. The crew exhaled collectively, some in relief, some in awe. The cadet felt the bond solidify beneath him, a living force that gave him courage and clarity. The bear brushed against his leg, reassuring him he was no longer alone. The captain turned away slowly, letting the cadet step past him, and the corridors seemed wider somehow. The hum of the ship, carrying the unspoken respect through every corridor, every panel, and the cadet knew in that moment that he had earned not just survival but recognition, and that the Grizzly beside him was more than a companion. It was a shield, a guide, and a friend, ready to face anything together. The captain stepped back, his armor clinking softly. As he inclined his head in respect, the cadet straightened, his shoulders, chest rising with newfound confidence. The bear moved close, brushing against his leg, a silent reassurance. The crew watched in hushed awe, whispering amongst themselves, some stepping forward cautiously, others keeping distance, yet all sensing the shift in power. The cadet walked steadily through the corridor, the bear following faithfully beside him, each step measured, deliberate. The captain's glowing eyes tracked him, analyzing the strength and authority the human now carried, a presence that demanded attention not through fear but through command and loyalty. The crew began to follow at a distance, curiosity and respect tempered with caution. Every movement of the cadet watched closely, as if learning the rules of survival. From him, the bear kept a vigilant eye on everyone around, its massive body, a living wall of protection. The cadet felt the rhythm of his heart aligned with the bear, and a quiet smile brushed his lips. He understood for the first time that strength was not in mockery or intimidation, it was in courage, trust, and connection. The captain finally spoke, words without menace. "Your species is not as weak as I assumed," he said, voice low and calculated. The cadet nodded slightly. The bear growled softly beside him, not threatening but affirming loyalty and understanding. The corridors of the alien ship seemed to hum differently now, a pulse of respect weaving through the crew and captain alike. The cadet knew the path ahead would be dangerous, but with the Grizzly at his side and the reluctant respect of the captain, he felt unstoppable. He had earned his place, and more than that, he had forged a bond that could withstand any challenge or threat in the vast unknown of the alien fleet. The cadet moved through the ship with steady purpose, each step deliberate. The bear walking faithfully at his side, muscles rippling, and eyes scanning the corridor for any sign of threat. The crew fell into a cautious rhythm behind him, some still uncertain, but all aware of the new order. The captain followed at a distance, his glowing eyes observing every movement, calculating, yet no longer mocking. The cadet felt the hum of the ship beneath his feet, the vibrations steady and alive as if recognizing the bond between human and beast. He held his head, high chest rising with confidence. He had survived the mockery, the challenges and the tests of strength and trust. He had earned respect and authority, and the bear brushed against his leg, a constant reminder of loyalty and protection. The corridors seemed to open before him, the alien symbols glowing softly in recognition of the change that had taken place. The cadet glanced at the captain, who inclined his head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement that spoke louder than words. The crew watched in silence, understanding that the human was no longer a novice, but a force to be reckoned with. Every step the cadet took was a statement, a declaration of courage and partnership that could not be ignored. The bear growled softly behind him, a low affirmation of guardianship. The cadet felt the surge of power flow through him, confidence tempered by loyalty and courage. He was no longer alone. He was a leader, a protector, a human bound with a beast, a team forged in trust and respect. The alien ship thrummed with the energy of the new balance, and the cadet knew that whatever challenges awaited in the fleet, he and his Grizzly companion would face them together, unstoppable and unbowed. The corridors echoed with the silent respect of all who witnessed the rise of the human cadet, and the Grizzly who claimed him as master.